The outpost smelled exactly as Kale remembered. Burned wiring, recycled air, and the faint hint of someone having microwaved leftover stew far beyond acceptable culinary law. He stepped off the transport with the heavy gait of a man whose joints had formed a political alliance against him. The suns were dipping behind the horizon, turning the metal decking orange, and he was preparing to complain about the humidity when he noticed her. She stood impossibly still in the fading light, long ears rising from her hair like elegant signals that said danger, mystery, and possibly sarcasm ahead. Her eyes locked onto him with a certainty he didn't feel even about his own name before morning caffeine. She approached with the quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly what she wanted to say, which made Kale instantly nervous. Most people approached him yelling, running, or trying to sell him insurance. None of those outcomes were ever pleasant. She stopped a breath away and asked, "Have you forgotten the day you saved me?" The calmness of her voice hit harder than any plasma round he'd ever taken. Kale blinked. Once. Twice. A third time for dramatic effect. "I save a lot of people," he said, scratching the back of his neck. "It's a hobby, like gardening but with more screaming." Her long ears shifted upward, a graceful motion that probably meant amusement or an imminent attack. He was never good at alien body language. "You don't remember," she murmured, sounding not hurt but simply annoyed, like someone discovering their favorite show had been removed from the cosmic streaming network. "Look," he said, holding up his hands, "my memory is not exactly top tier. It's more selective." "Selective," she repeated, tilting her head slightly. "You never forget how much sugar you put in your tea, but you forget the moment you carried an alien emissary through collapsing debris." Kale stared at her. "I feel like if that happened to me, I'd remember it. That sounds impressive, heroic even, very flattering to me personally." She sighed. Not a small sigh. No, this was the sigh of a woman reconsidering every life decision that led her here. "You shielded me during an orbital strike. You dragged me through fire and smoke. You told me not to worry because humans are shockingly durable, like badly designed kitchen appliances. I believe you also complained about the weight of my ceremonial armor." Kale squinted, trying to force a memory to materialize. Something flickered. Heat, rubble, the sensation of lifting someone who definitely could have done with fewer decorative shoulder plates. He shook his head, the image slipping away like soap in a military shower. "Sorry, your armor must have been very heavy. Traumatic experiences, you know. They erase themselves to protect the mind." "Convenient," she said, "extremely." She studied him with eyes that shimmered like starfields. "My name is Lyran. I knew you would return eventually. Your people rebuilt this outpost for a reason." "That reason being," Kale said, "we're terrible at minding our own business." For the first time, she actually smiled. Her ears dipped, then rose again like soft, luminous wings. "There is a new threat at the edge of my territory. It feels connected to that day. I need your help." Kale rubbed his temples. "Okay, so you want me to come along because I'm brave, skilled, and devastatingly handsome." "No," she said. "I want you because you were there, whether you remember it or not." "That's considerably less flattering," he muttered. Lyran's expression softened. "Your memory will return. Pieces are already surfacing, yes." He didn't like how accurate that was. "Maybe. Or maybe I just really want to impress a beautiful alien with long ears. Hard to say." Her ears twitched sharply. "Do not attempt to charm me. Humans are terrible at it." "Disagree," Kale said. "I once flirted my way past a security drone. That drone malfunctioned and exploded. It was overwhelmed by my charisma." Lyran turned away as if reconsidering inviting him entirely. "My vessel is waiting. If you come with me, I can show you what you have forgotten." Kale followed her because something in his chest, something old, something stubborn pulled him forward. And as the stars ignited overhead and her long ears caught the glow like delicate antennae tuned to forgotten memories, he felt the past stir. Not fully, not clearly, but enough to make him wonder what else he had lost, and why the sight of her felt like recognizing a familiar melody played on an alien instrument. He exhaled and muttered, mostly to himself, "Great. Another adventure. I should have stayed on the ship and microwave burned my eyebrows off in peace." But he didn't turn back. He walked beside her toward the waiting vessel, an unanswered question echoing in his mind, the same one she had asked him. "Have you forgotten the day you saved me?" And something inside him whispered no. Not forever. Not anymore. The vessel hummed with a soft, crystalline resonance as Cale stepped aboard, the floor panels lighting beneath his boots like they were judging every step he took. Lyran moved ahead with effortless grace, her long ears brushing the faint glow of the ship's interior as if she were greeting an old friend. Cale, meanwhile, greeted the ship by tripping over a harmless maintenance drone. The drone chirped in offense and zipped away. "Is it just me," Cale muttered, "or does your ship have an attitude?" "It is semi-sentient," Lyran said without looking back. "It reacts to energy signatures. Yours confuse it." "Well, that's fair. I confuse myself too," Cale said, straightening his vest and pretending he hadn't just been bullied by a floating toolbox. The ship lifted off with a smooth upward glide, stars spilling across the panoramic view like scattered silver dust. Cale dropped into the co-pilot seat even though he had no intention of touching anything. He had learned long ago that alien consoles had a terrible sense of humor. One wrong tap, and suddenly you launched escape pods, or worse, opened someone's personal message archives. Lyran tapped a series of shimmering glyphs, and the vessel shot into a corridor of swirling nebula fog. Cale watched the colors ripple across the hull, then glanced at her. "So, this threat we're heading toward, how bad are we talking? On a scale from mild inconvenience to galactic therapy bills?" She didn't answer immediately. Her ears angled slightly backward, a sign he was beginning to recognize as unease. "It does not behave like any natural anomaly. Pulses of energy we cannot trace, structures appearing and dissolving, drones vanishing as if swallowed." "Swallowed," Cale repeated, "like eaten. Do all humans interpret anomalies as creatures?" "In my experience, if something can kill you, it usually has teeth." She gave him a look that suggested both annoyance and reluctant amusement. "Your logic comforts no one." The ship shuddered suddenly. Cale gripped the armrests. "Was that turbulence, or are we being attacked by invisible space piranhas?" "Neither," Lyran said, examining the readings. "Nebula distortion, harmless." The vessel shuddered again, harder. Cale shot her a look. "Mostly harmless," she corrected. He raised a brow. "This is fine. I enjoy traveling inside cosmic fog that occasionally punches us." Lyran tried not to smile, but her ears betrayed her, tilting upward in a soft arc. "Relax. My ship can handle this." A drone descended from the ceiling and beeped aggressively at Cale. "Is it telling me to buckle my seatbelt?" he asked. "It is telling you to stop radiating panic. It interferes with the sensors." "Oh, perfect. Even the appliances are judging me." The distortion cleared suddenly, revealing a stretch of black space dotted with bright fragments, metal shards drifting in slow rotation. Cale leaned forward. "Is that a wreck?" Lyran's gaze hardened. "One of our scout vessels. It was sent to analyze the anomaly 2 cycles ago." The shards glinted like frozen tears. Cale swallowed. "Any signs of escape pods?" "None." He didn't like the way her voice lowered, steady but tense. He also didn't like the sensation crawling up his spine, a memory struggling to surface. Smoke, screams, someone's hand gripping his own. He blinked hard, the image vanished. Lyran noticed. "Your memory is trying to reach you. Do not force it." "Easy for you to say," Cale muttered. "You're not the one whose brain is acting like a broken hollow projector." There was silence for a moment, quiet except for the faint pulse of the engines. Then the control panel sparked. A jagged line of static slashed across the display. The ship lurched sideways. Lyran gripped the controls. "We're being pulled. Something is generating a gravity tide." Cale peered ahead. "I don't see anything." "That is what concerns me." The vessel groaned as if something enormous had hooked its claws into the hull. Cale braced himself, heart hammering. Okay, important question. Does this ship do the thing where it tears apart dramatically, or the thing where it barely survives and I spend the next week fixing cables? Lyron's ears twitched with irritation. Neither, hold on. The ship's engines roared. Lyron fed power into the stabilizers, her fingers moving with the precision of someone sculpting light itself. Cale watched the nebula streak into violent spirals around them. Then, with a shuddering crack, the gravity tide released them. The sudden freedom sent the vessel drifting forward. Cale exhaled loudly. Well, good news, I didn't scream. Out loud. You are remarkably calm for someone who nearly lost structural integrity, Lyron said. He shrugged. I've been through worse. Once got trapped in a malfunctioning elevator for 7 hours. That is not remotely comparable. It was with my commander. Trust me, it was worse. Despite everything, she let out a soft laugh. As the stars settled around them again, a distant pulse of energy rippled across the void, silent, cold, and unnervingly familiar. Cale felt his chest tighten. He didn't know why, but Lyron did. Her ears lowered in realization. It is the same signature from the day you saved me. Cale felt the memory hit him again, sharper this time. Light, heat. Her silhouette behind him. A promise whispered through falling debris. He drew a slow breath. Then, he said quietly, we're definitely heading the right way. The shattered moon rose before them like a broken lantern, jagged and pale against the dark. Cale studied its cracked surface as Lyron guided the vessel toward the source of the energy pulses. He felt strangely calm, partly because he had accepted his impending doom, partly because Lyron had promised the ship would not explode unless he personally touched something important. He'd kept his hands safely folded since. The closer they drew, the stronger the memories tugged. Flashes of heat, collapsing structures, the weight of armored plates, Lyron's voice trembling yet steady behind him. Cale pressed a hand to his temple, breathing through the ache. Lyron glanced over, her long ears dipping with concern. It will be clearer soon, she said softly. The mind remembers when it must. I'd prefer it remember without the headache, Cale muttered. Maybe ease into it, like a polite memory. The ship eased into the moon's shadow, and an unnatural structure flickered into view. Something half material, half phased, pulsing with light like a heartbeat struggling to exist. Cale frowned. Great, a haunted space bunker, exactly what I wanted today. It's an energy lattice, Lyron said. Artificial, someone is trying to stabilize it. By someone, do you mean friendly scientists, or the type who monologue before pushing big red buttons? She tilted her head. The latter seems more likely. They disembarked onto the fractured terrain, the gravity weak and dust rising in slow motion. As they neared the structure, the light wavered, and a group of figures stepped out, armored and masked. Cale froze. He knew that armor, the shape of those rifles, the insignia once etched into his own gear. His memories slammed together. He saw himself younger, standing in a burning compound, assigned to protect Lyron during secret peace negotiations. He saw the betrayal of a rogue faction, the same soldiers who now stood before him, detonating charges, collapsing the halls, leaving him trapped with Lyron beneath the rubble. He saw himself shielding her with his body, promising she would survive, swearing he'd get her out even if it killed him. He remembered her small hand gripping his, the way she whispered something he had forgotten until now. If we survive, I will never let the universe take you from my memory. Cale staggered under the force of it. Lyron touched his arm. You remember. Yeah, he whispered, everything. The rogue soldiers raised their weapons. Their leader stepped forward. You should have stayed, forgotten warrior. You kept the emissary alive when she was meant to die. Now we finish what we began. Cale straightened, a strange steadiness settling over him. I've had a long day. Chased by gravity storms, insulted by sentient drones, nearly crushed by phantom architecture. If you want to threaten me, at least form a line so it's more organized. Lyron suppressed a smile, her ears twitching upward. "You are different now," she murmured. Kale shrugged. "Blame the head trauma." The rogue soldiers opened fire, beams cracking through the thin air. Kale reacted before thinking, grabbing Lyran's wrist and pulling her behind a jagged fragment of moonrock. She lifted her free hand, bending light around them, forming a shimmering shield that crackled with color. Kale peeked out. "They still have terrible aim. Good to know some things never change." Working in sync, like they had long ago but never remembered, they pushed forward. Kale darted between cover, using the unstable gravity to leap higher than any human should. Lyran shaped beams into curved strikes of light, disabling weapons without killing their wielders. Each moment carried the rhythm of a memory turned real again. Eventually, they reached the lattice. Kale tore away a power conduit with a grunt, and Lyran's energy devoured the cascading pulses. The structure collapsed into glittering fragments that dissolved into the air. The rogue soldiers, suddenly powerless, scrambled back into the shadows. Silence settled, thin, fragile, victorious. Lyran turned to Kale. "It is done." Kale exhaled. "Good, because I'm running dangerously low on hero energy. Might need a snack soon." Her long ears relaxed fully, softening her whole expression. "You remember who you were," she said. "But more than that, you have become someone stronger." He hesitated, then nodded. "I spent years drifting, not knowing why something felt missing. Turns out it was you, the promise, that moment." She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her. "Then you have found what you lost." "Yeah," he said quietly, "and I'm not letting it slip away again." The shattered moon glowed faintly beneath their feet, as if echoing the restoration neither of them had expected. Kale looked at her, really looked, and felt a strange peace. The mission was complete, the past was returned, the future finally had shape. "So," he said, clearing his throat, "how about we go back to your ship and maybe find something edible? Preferably something that doesn't move or sparkle ominously." Lyran laughed softly. "I think I can arrange that."